Hello everyone. Today we're going to be talking about swim set. What makes a good swim set? So, so it's in a season now. You set your goals, and now you want to achieve your goals. Well, to achieve the goals, you have to go to practice, and at practice you have to put in the effort so that you can get faster and to the goals that you want to achieve. However, when you're at practice, you will probably come across the term of good sets and bad sets. So, what exactly do you think makes a good set? So, the idea of the good set is it's a set that's hard, but it gets you to one step closer to your goal by the end of the season. And how we talk about that, we're gonna be taking a look here. So, the first rule about swim sets is they have to have a purpose. So one example of something that would break this rule would be if I just assign you a set of 13 200s. Which is a set I actually did like a couple days ago. It wasn't exactly 13. There was a break. There was a break here and a break here. Three of them were drill where you drill, and then seven of them were just freestyle, and then the last three were stroke. The issue of this kind of set is that it's a very long distancy set, as you can tell, because it's repeat 200. And if we're being honest, any repeat of anything over like 100 is basically a distance set. And by doing that, you're not training your. Most of us are distance swimmers, and by doing that, you're really training yourself for something that doesn't really exactly pertain to you. Like for example, you don't need to have to be a distance swimmer. You don't need to do like very long ass swimming to be good at 100 or 200. And that's kind of the issue with this. There's also other issues being issues that will be covered later, but you kind of get the point, right? The other thing is the set has to be hard but doable. An example that would violate this would be a set of like four 200s pull on 240, followed by eight ones pull on 120. The issue is that let's say your 200 pull is probably like right under this. The issue, let's say you're not the best at pulling. The problem with this is you're basically gonna be stopping, be like having like 5 seconds of rest, and you're going on the next one. By doing that, you get exhausted quickly. Your arms get tight and you can't move. And when you can't move, you're just gonna be swimming more and more poor technique. By swimming with poor technique, you're building up a habit of swimming with poor technique, which carries over into at the meet. And literally by doing that, you're actually, if anything, you're not gonna get faster. You might even get a little slower because now your technique is bad and you're exhausted. So that's the reason why you don't do sets a set like this if you're not like the best at pulling. You would probably, if anything, I would probably modify this set to be something like just 400s, like 450s, at like 140 and then 55 or something. The other thing, so the third criteria that goes into swim sets is they should be varied. So a good example of something that will violate this would be me back in like fall 2020. We had a coach basically, and all like pretty much every day was aerobic free, aerobic free, aerobic free, aerobic free, aerobic free. Like literally, the problem with doing something like this is that you're swimming the same thing over and over again. Not to mention this also violates having purpose. But if all you're doing is aerobic free, well, one, you don't let your swimmers develop in other strokes, which is other strokes. You're only emphasizing in one domain, which is good endurance. And in swimming, there's way more than just good endurance because you have to have speed, you have to have technique, and like you don't practice that when all you're doing is aerobic free every day. The last thing is going to be good technique. So oftentimes, one issue that I've seen as a swimmer is that coaches will literally ask you to do like a 50 drill, do 50s drill on like a 45-second interval. And oftentimes swimmers will be rushing through the drill because they're afraid they will miss the interval. And the thing about drilling is you're supposed to go slow. You're not supposed to be going fast because drill is about technique, and you work on technique first at slow speeds, and then maybe you can go faster later. But you want to work on it at slow speeds so that you're actually swimming properly and you're not just rushing through. Technique change is literally the bedrock of swimming fast. Good technique makes you fast. Bad technique is literally what slows you down. What do I mean by good technique? So for example, let's take a stroke like butterfly. Or no, let's just take freestyle. The thing about freestyle is when you're swimming, you don't want to pull in like this because by pulling like this, you're not going to be catching water. Rather, you want to be pulling with a high elbow back with early vertical forearm back. And by doing this, you're catching way more water than if you're pulling like that. So that is the thing about swim sets. And by like violating any of these principles, you're basically just setting yourself up for failure. You're like, what do I mean? You're gonna be swimming like thousands of yards almost every day in, day out. You're gonna be doing that, and you're gonna go to a meet and see that wait, why the hell am I not improving when I'm swimming all these yards? And the reason is because you're swimming bad sets. So if you want to get fast, don't fast. Follow these principles, and then you will get better than where you left off at. So hopefully that made sense. I hope and I hope that you learned something from this, guys. So next time you go to a set, think about what is the purpose of this, and whether your coach is actually doing a good job. Because if your coach is not following this criteria, they're not doing their job right. So think about that. Anyway, I hope you learned something, and we'll see you next time. Take care.